another episode of Toggle. Wow, look at this. Now I found the correct term. It's a smudgy bar. That's what these are called, smudgy bars. I can never seem to remember that, but I've got it finished. So I've got it up here. It's pretty cold and gloomy today. We are expecting some rain. So I want to just get this off and go and give it a test run on the road and see how it works. I've only used one of these once before, and I used it on a bobcat, not a tractor. So it'll be interesting to see how we go. Might take me a little while to get used to it, but I'm sure this is going to work great. So I'll get this unstrapped, get the tractor, get it off. We'll go up, we'll have a muck around on the road, we'll see how we go. Well, you can see it's a pretty damn good fit, so I'm pretty happy with that. And the bucket really supports it well. There was no problem at all tilting it, lifting it. So even though like that is really heavy, I struggle just to move it. Getting it on the trailer was a real challenge. Getting it off was easy, obviously, because I had the tractor here. But yeah, it's looking like it's going to work really good, so let's take her up the top. We'll give it a test go on the gravel. Well, here comes our water tank.
I just had to get over that lip. I can give you a hand.
Yeah, no worries, cool.
Yeah. No. I'll jump up. I snapped it, I reckon.
You're all good?
Yep.
Perfect.
Beautiful girl.
Well, there's the water tank delivered. We've just got it over near the fence at the moment. The truck was definitely having issues on the wet grass. It had to rain today, didn't it? It's been beautiful for the last few days, and then it had to rain today, and doesn't require much of an angle, much of a slope on the ground, and that grass is very slippery. So anyway, tank's off. He had to back out, which is a couple of 100 meters, but oh well, I did explain to him what it was going to be like when he got here. That will have to get moved down over just where that orange netting is. That's the sand pad down there. So I'll move it down there at some other point, because at the moment it's just, yeah, not real great. I mean, it looks beautiful. Look at the mist out there. It's lovely, but yeah, not conducive to doing work up here at the moment. So tank's there. I've got all my bits and pieces that go with it, the pump and whatnot. And I'll pop back up probably tomorrow, and I'll get that moved into place, and we'll get that sorted out then. But that's it for now. So anyway, I had wanted to, you know, get the drone up, film the truck coming down the track, that sort of thing, but it's rainy. I'm just not going to get that done. At least you saw it get delivered. Anyway, next up, we will get that into place. I'll be back tomorrow to do that. Well, as you can see behind me, it is a wet, drizzly day. Regardless, I've got work to do. But before I do, I thought I'd give you a quick update on the trenching that I did the other day. Let's take a look at that. Now, I know what's happening. I've been up here the last 2 evenings. We've had so much rain over the last 5-6 days. The trenching, I'm glad I had it in, but I still need to do some extra work. So let's go take a look. This is pretty much where I start the trenching from. That's because it's at the top of the hill. So this is where the minimal water is. This is the old trenching that I dug up with the excavator several months ago, and it did the job well, and it's still holding up well. It's a nice wide trench. But it did take a long time to dig with the excavator, and you can see how it is channeling that water off. So the water's just seeping out of this paddock there, and then it hits here and it goes down that channel rather than go out onto the road. Now obviously, yes, there's water on the road, but that's just the rain. So coming down here, you can see right here. So what used to happen was the water would drain down through this part and down here, and then it would run across the road here and make this road really boggy. So it's actually quite firm now because all the water is running into there and channeling down through here. The only water that road's got on it now is just the rain. So coming down here, more and more water slowly seeps in, and you can see that the water has washed away, sort of cleaned these drains out nicely. Now it's overflowed here. I can tell by the way that that wall is washed out that it actually overflowed and broke through, so I need to dig that a bit deeper there to keep carrying the water, because that water all went out across over the road over there. And it's broken out there as well. But the good thing was, this wall here from the trencher actually seems to have held a lot of that water over in. It's gouged this channel a lot deeper now, which is great. That's what I was hoping it would do. I've got a very hard, there's a hard plate of rock right here that runs right up here, right up through the center of the road, this hard plate of rock. So I'm not sure, I might need to get the crowbar, I need to chisel that down because again, it's just caused the water to burst out and come across the road. At the moment it's okay, but this is just seepage water. We had some really huge downpours that were so heavy. Now here, you can see it's washed out again because there's no soil left there. Basically that channel was just too narrow, it couldn't hold the volume of water. So I'm going to need to widen this. Like I say, it's doing great for channeling off this seepage water, but when we get those massive downpours, it just couldn't deal with it. Same thing happened here. All that soil has been washed away. Let's put gravel all the way over into the paddock here. So I need to widen this trench out. It's just too narrow for massive amounts of water that we've been getting. Broke out there as well. Down through here, it's fine. I will probably in time widen this as well, though it does need to be. Then we get down to this really rocky area. This was a real challenge to dig through. I couldn't use the trench digger. Look at all the worms that have been swept up into there. So this is all really rocky, so I had to use the excavator, but even with my little backhoe it was still hard because if you look at this, this is all like solid plate rock. I'm not sure what I'm going to do about that. I may actually build like a concrete wall running along the edge here just to help keep that water in, because I've got to keep the water off the road. What happens is, you can see here again where this is all burst out, that it washes out and then it runs down the middle of the road. And then once I've got gravel on here, it will wash that gravel away, and we do not want that. So heading down here, again, it all washed out here because we're almost on solid rock there. I need to try and break that up. Or put a wall in, something. So a lot of water came down here. Now the good thing is though, it's actually washed all of the mud away. So now I'm just left with a rocky base. That actually makes it easier to drive up, truth be told. Again, you can see it's washed huge piles of rocks in. I need to come down and break all of these little dam walls up where it's all just blocked itself up. So a lot of work needs to be done here. Work that I haven't got time to do this weekend because I have to get this solar panel array built. And that's going to be my task for the next 2 days. And you can see here where it swept all of this gravel out. That whole pile of gravel. And then the water's continued on down there. Now the water that swept out and ran down the road, some of it ended up cutting straight across and over into my left-hand channel, which is fantastic. A lot of it came straight down through this way, straight down here, and thankfully I'd seen that there was a little bit of a channel here previously, so I dug an extra bit of trench and that channeled a lot of it off and away from the road. The rest of it came down through here, and you can see the two lines where the water has run down. But again, I could tell from previous rainstorms and that the water tended to drift from left to right. So what I did down here as we approach is there's another trench, because the water used to basically just continue to flow along and down and around the road. So I dug that bit of a trench there, and that channeled off really well, because you can see here there's actually no washouts. So all the water ended up down there, and that's good because I've got to keep the water away from the dam wall down here. You can see on this side all of this seepage water running down. This was the very first trench I dug. And I need to clear all those rocks out, because the water's hit those rocks that hard, it's actually burst out. You can see all this wash away here. So all that water came straight down through the middle, and look what it's done to the dam wall. It's washed away my gravel, put a gouge right down through here. So I need to go and clear that blockage. That is something I will have to do. The worst part we had though was so much water came down off the hill and flushed all of this bush out that when I came down here 2 days ago, I realized I had to drag all of this debris out. It had all blocked up. It had blocked up my drain pipes there. I need to get some more of that out. The problem was, when that blocked up, the damn wall overflowed. We're lucky we didn't lose the whole damn wall. So there's some major damage done there. Now, this dam has to stay intact because this is our road. So I've got to do everything I can to make sure that that doesn't happen again. I'm hoping it was such a big flush that it's flushed out 90% of all of the rubbish, and I've got all of that out. It's mainly tree fern fronds that are the issue. Leaves will get swept through, but the fronds, they block up. But I've got to make sure no more comes down there. You can see the water over the back. That water running there, that's coming out of that side trench I dug. This is the water coming out from the dam. I call it a dam, it's more just a causeway for us to drive across. But yeah, lots of damage. So, I know that was a long explanation, but thanks for bearing with me. Yeah, massive amounts of rain, and we expect the rain to start in June. It'll rain June, July, August and some of September normally, almost every day, on and off. But in the last few days we've actually, it's not just been rain, it's been torrential, massive downpours. So I've got to get down to the mill and cut some more timber, and then we've got to start setting up this solar panel array. My goal for this weekend is to have it set up with panels on it. Big call, so I better get cracking. This is one of the downsides of working in the rain. Leeches. Little bastards, I hate them. They make me swell up an itch for a week when they bite me. And I normally know where I'll find them when it's dry, but when it's wet, they are everywhere. So, yeah, leeches. And this is the weather that I'm working in. So yeah, not pleasant weather really, but everything's a bit boggy, a bit muddy. At the moment I'm just trying to drag this log out. This is the log that I want to mill, but it's too wet to have the camera gear out, so I'm just doing this quick bit of filming on my phone. I'll do a little bit of filming once we're in the shed with the log. Well, that rain is not easing up at all. I managed to get that log in. Got a bit wet in doing so, but it's in now. What I want to do is get all the bark off it. Because it was dragged through the mud and the grit a lot, it's really damaging for the saw blade, and I want to try and keep that saw blade as good as I can for as long as I can. So I will use the little hatchet. I'll get all the bark off it. I've had to jack up one end. The log was 30 centimeters deep at one side and it was 26 at the other side. Now if I want the cut to go right through the middle, it means that I need to lift the smaller end up by 2 centimeters. Then the centers will be parallel, and then I can get my cuts through. Now I need 4 posts that are 100 by 100, and I'm hoping I can get them out of this one log. They need to be 4.2 meters long, and I've cut this log to 4.4 meters long. So yeah, if I can get the 4 logs out of this at 100 by 100, I'll be very happy. A bonus would be to get an extra 2 out of it that are about 100 by 50, but I don't think I will get that out of them. That might have to come out of another log. Anyway, I'll get to stripping this, and we'll see how we go getting those 4 posts out of this one. Okay, well that's all the bark cleaned off from the areas where I'm going to cut. Back-breaking job, but it needs to be done to preserve the blade. Now, 99% sure this was a blackwood, so I will be wearing a dust mask again when I mill this up, because as I've said many times in the past, apparently the dust from the blackwood, not actually carcinogenic, but it can cause like emphysema and stuff. It's a bit like asbestos. When you're cutting with the timber mill though, the sawdust is very damp, so, but anyway, why take any risks? So I'll be wearing the mask. Let's get the first cut done. So now I've got a nice flat bottom to work off, but having flipped this over, I've now got to get rid of a bit more bark, and this is what I'm talking about right there. That mud and dirt, that's all gritty, and running the saw blade through that, it's just like running it across sandpaper or a stone, like it, and it will really blunten the blade. So I need to clean that bark off, and then I'll keep cutting. So the plan will be, I'll shave off until I've got a nice flat edge, and then I'll flip that up, put that flat edge against the uprights, which the uprights to the base is a perfect 90, and then I can get it all squared off, and then when I've got a nice square block, then I can work out what I'm going to cut out of it to get those poles, those beams that I need. Well, I did get my 4 posts. After a hell of a lot of faffing around and measuring and adjusting the timbers, jacking one end up, everything to try and get them to cut through properly. They're not the best posts I've done, but they're going to work. They did twist slightly, bowed. But there we are, 4 really nice posts. They will get the job done. That's all I was able to get out of that. The rest will just end up as firewood. So I still need to get another 2 posts that are this long, which is, I cut these at 4.2 or 4.3 meters. I need them to be, well actually, so I think I cut them at 4.3 or 4.4 because they need to be 4.2, so I went a bit over. I need another 2 more the same length, but they don't have to be as thick. They can be half as thick actually. They can be a 50 by 100. And then I need to get some 3-meter logs cut as well to finish off the framework. So I'll find another log, drag it in. I'm going to get all of that milled up. I'm not going to film any more of that. The next you'll see is tomorrow. I will come back up. Hopefully I've got all the timber milled. If not, I'll come and mill some more timber. But tomorrow, so the next thing you'll see will be me tomorrow starting to assemble all this. So I'll see you in a second. We'll start putting this together. This morning I got the last 4 posts cut, and thank God it is a sunny, beautiful day today. So here I am just taking the last of the poles up to the paddock where we can start assembling. Well, as you can see behind me, there's all of the posts that we need to get the solar panel array built. And look at this sunshine. It feels amazing. It's still a bit cool, but it's so nice to have the sun today. Don't mind admitting it was really hard to stay motivated yesterday. It was like the 5th or 6th day of rain that we'd had. So much better today. Very slight breeze, but before I get started on assembling that, I think I'm going to use a couple of those posts temporarily, because just here is where the rainwater tank is going to go. And what I'm thinking is I'm going to need to just push that into place myself. So what I'm thinking is, if I put 2 beams down either side of the sand, because I can't just push it onto the sand where I've leveled it, it's going to muck it all up. But if I put 2 of those 100 by 100 posts in, and I can get the edge up onto it and then push it on top, then I can just drag the posts out and it'll just set straight down on that pad. So I might just try and get that done first, and then I'll have all of the timbers ready to start assembling this. Let's hope that the sun does last all day, because as we know, things can change by the minute up here, but I'm going to enjoy it while it lasts and be very grateful for it at the moment. Let's get this water tank sorted out. So I just got to drag that water tank the 40 metres or so from where it is. I've got it secured up against the fence there, and that's where the truck dropped it off the other day that you saw. So it's okay to drag it across the sand here and the grass, sorry, and even that little bit of gravel over there. It won't be an issue. It's quite thick plastic in these water tanks. So yeah, I'll just drag it across. So I'm just going to drag it over to here, and then I'll pop the posts in here, and then I'll just either push it or pull it across into that position there, and then the water tank's in place. Okay, 3 posts in. They were the hardest ones to get in because they're the tallest ones. That's obviously the back. Down here at the front, it'll just be really short. And then what I'll do is I've got 5 posts that will slope up to a cross beam that'll be up there. Now they won't be that tall though, by the way, and you probably notice, I'm not sure if it's even on the screen, that they are different heights because they're all got the same length and they're all going down the hill. My plan now is I'm going to put a brace across the back of these, get it all braced up nicely, get them all perfectly level and whatnot. Then I will measure up the height I need and mark across and cut all 3 at the exact same height. So the end post will obviously be longer because of the slope, but I want them all at the same height. So that's how I'm going to do that. So I've made these posts extra long. The posts are about 3.2 meters long, and I only need them to be about, I think it was just a touch over 2. So a fair bit will get chopped off, some of them. Anyway, I'm going to start work on that, get that braced up, because it's at its most precarious at the moment. I do not want them to fall over. They shouldn't, but I'm not going to risk it. The way I tried to do it the first time with the ropes to hold it just wasn't working. I found it was just easier, even though it was bloody hard, it was easier to just hold that post with the spirit level screwed onto it and get the holes drilled and bolted up. Once it's up, it's just a matter of balancing it a little bit, and it kind of looked a bit teetery, but I got it. It's working. It's what you do when you've got to do it by yourself. Okay, with that string line across there, perfectly level, I've made marks, so now that can be my datum line. I can work up and down off that and keep everything parallel to the horizon, everything dead level. So I'll work out exactly where I want that beam to go, and then I'll get it put in. I'm going to actually notch out a little bit on each of the posts, just to give it a little bit more support. It'll stop the twisting. I'll show you that as I get them notched out. Okay, so what I've done here on this post, I came down 36 centimeters from that datum line, which puts me at 70 centimeters above the ground level of the top post, higher at the bottom obviously. Use the square, mark the line, top and bottom of this beam that I'm going to put across right here, like that. So that distance, which was 9.2, 92 mil, I've marked that 92 mil. Now what I'm going to do, that is 4 centimeters thick, 40 mil thick. I've got to keep saying mils. Steve will be on to me, along with many other people. Anyway, 40 mils thick. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set my circular saw to 20 mils deep, and then I'll do a series of cuts through here at 20 mils thick. Then I'll get the chisel, I'll knock all that out and clean it out, and that way when this beam actually slots in, it'll go halfway into that post. This is a 100 mil post, taking out 20 mil still leaves 80, so it's not weakening it. And but it'll give this a lot more support too, because when you've got a big notch like that and you put something into it, it's a lot harder for it to be able to turn because it's hard up against, as opposed to if I just put it on flat and screwed it, even with 2 screws, it's still got a little bit of play. So by making that joint, just makes it a little bit stronger. So that's what I'll do now. Set up the circular saw, start these notches. This is blackwood. I'll be wearing the mask. So it's about midday, and it actually looks like early morning up here at the moment. It's been pouring rain all morning, so I haven't been able to get any work done on the framing here behind me. I've been clearing the drains out. Figure what else you're going to do in the rain. The water's moving, and I can see where the problem points are, the little choke points, so I just spent a couple of hours doing that. That big cloud bank just behind us over there, that just passed through here. Literally 5 minutes ago, you could barely see those posts. It was just this big, thick bank rolled right through, and yeah, it makes it a little hard to work, but don't get me wrong, it is beautiful. I'll find it more beautiful though when I'm up here in my tracksuit, sitting in my nice warm house with a hot chocolate, looking out the window at it. But the view really is stunning. So now that the rain has eased off a bit, I can get to work. So yesterday, you'll see when I finished up, and it was raining for the last hour or so, I got this front bar in, and I've put the bracing on the back one there. Now, I couldn't work this morning in the rain because I got power tools, and I can't use the power tools in the rain. I don't mind being in the rain, but the power tools don't. So what I need to do now is I've got to work out my height for these back posts and then cut them off at height, and then I'll use the tractor. I've got two big 4.5 meter beams like these ones. So that's that there and that there. They're actually about 4.3 meters, and what I've done, you can see right here, is I just made it so they overlapped each other, put bolts straight through, bolted that in. So I've got two more that will go across the top once I cut them off to level. Then I can start putting the other bars that will go from here up to the top, because that's the way that the solar panels will run, and that should be at around about 37 degrees when I'm done. So I'll get stuck into it. Okay, we've got it marked. Let me come and show you what I've done. So what I did was I took a line from the top of this across, got it dead level, which was where that screw is, so that's dead level. So this mark here is dead level with the height of the bar over there. So that's my ground point to work off. So I need to be 2007 or 207 centimeters, which would be 2070 millimeters. Now I was up a little bit higher than that there, and realized that I'd run out of post down at this end. The tractor's there because what I did, I put the ladder up against the post, and then I put the tractor against the ladder. So I neatened off the top of the post because I noticed it was a little bit wonky, and then I ran my string line all the way across, and I had to drop down by just a centimeter or two to get it perfectly level. And now you can see she's dead level. So now what I'll do is I'll mark off those other two posts, get them trimmed off, and then we'll get the top beams up. Thankfully, I was going to say the rain has eased off, but it's just starting to sprinkle again. so what I've actually got is the GoPro and a little suction cup, and I've got it stuck on the bonnet of the car just so that I can do some filming for you guys. I had about an hour or two of no rain, which was nice. I was able to get some timber cut and whatnot. So all the top up there, just above my head, that is all screwed on and into place now. Now what I've done, I've just spent a fair bit of time doing a lot of working out. So this green ratchet strap, that one is there to basically pull that post forwards because it was leaning out. So to get it perfectly upright, I got that strap to pull it forwards. I then measured, and I'm looking at 354 centimeters from the top front edge down here to that bottom edge. So what I did was I came down here and I trimmed off my posts at 380 centimeters just to give me a little bit of overhang and top and bottom. Then what I did was I got a template, which I will find. Where did I put my template? I'm losing my mind up here today. Okay, template. Oh, there it is. Okay, so what I did was, I've got this template right here. Doesn't look like a template, but that's my template. So up the top here, I ran a string from that front edge down to the back edge there. So that gives me the angle. And what I did was I put this up against the post and then I marked the line so that I then had the angle. I then went and made myself a template like that I can put on and know that I'm following the right angle. So now I know my cuts, I know the distances, I've got everything sorted out. I can use the template. I cut that with a handsaw, by the way. I'll be able to set my circular saw blade to the angles in there, and then I can start getting some posts cut and ready to put up, as long as the rain stops. Because if the rain doesn't stop, I'm not going to get my good circular saw out in the rain, because that's worth way too much money to get ruined by a bit of water. It'll just have to wait. So I'll mark these out. We'll see what happens with the rain. I have the first post that goes from top to bottom cut. I was only able to cut one side of the angle with the saw. The other side I wasn't able to do because it was too shallow an angle. The saw wouldn't go that low, so I had to do that with a handsaw. And then as I was looking at all of the figures, and the damn battery went flat. And on my last video for the day too, I couldn't have waited another minute or two. So as I was saying before I was so rudely interrupted by my flat battery, as I started looking at all of the angles and the measurements, it sort of became a lot clearer. Let me show you something. So this was my template that I made, and then once I got that template sorted out on the saw, I'll flip this over, I was able to get the saw blade to match this angle right here, this one. Okay, and then I set the depth as well. Now I guessed the angle to be about 36 degrees because it does have markings on the circular saw in increments 35, 40, 45. So I guessed about 36. That makes a lot of sense, because remember when I said that I needed 207 centimeters difference from the bottom bar to the top bar, and that should give me my angle of 37 degrees. So 36, 37, it was right there. All my math worked out. See kids, math is wonderful. Learn your math. You may not think that it comes in handy, but trust me, later on in life it comes in very handy. So study your math. So that all worked out well. Then what I did, we'll come over here now, and because the other thing too is, because that's 36 degrees and it's a 90-degree corner, because it's fitting over a 90-degree bar, the three angles of a triangle are 180. So with 36 and 90, there's 126, and that left 54 degrees. And 54 degrees was too shallow for the sort of cut. That's why I had to cut it by hand. Okay, so over here, I have now cut the notch, top and bottom. And what I was able to do was, when I cut in my first notch up here, I then, when I drew this in before I cut it, I put a nail right there and I measured the distance down 353.5 centimeters to that point right there, and then I marked it. And so I put my template in here so that that corner was exactly 353.5 centimeters from that one. So that should line up on the end where I'm going to put it. Fingers crossed. I'm going to put it up now and we'll see how it goes. I hope this works. Winner, winner! Fits like a glove. Come and have a look at this. Very happy. That fits perfectly. Notched in there really nice. And notched up there. Really nice too. Alright, so all I need to do now is just screw that into place. I'm very happy that that fit. It means that I've got a theory, a formula, and it works. So the probably hour and a half or so it took me racking my brain, working all that out, cutting the jigs, template, that sort of thing. I only had to do that the once. Now I've got a plan and I should be able to get the other 4 knocked out fairly quickly. But I'm buggered for today. It's been a long couple of days getting this up. I think I've done enough, so I'm going to take an early mark and head on home. There's probably only another 90 minutes or so of light left anyway. So I'm going to wrap up the video here as well. So I hope you're finding this interesting and as exciting as I am, because we are getting close. I'll come back up tomorrow. You'll see that next week and I'll finish this off. And then I'll have to get the aluminium bars across and get solar panels put onto it. So until next week, stay safe, take care. Hope you have a great weekend. If you like what I'm doing, give me a thumbs up or a comment. And I will see you guys next Friday. Cheers.